It is so urgent and so important. I now would like to share something with you about my mom. This was my mom on her 104th birthday. Amazing, amazing lady. Sadly, Mom passed away just a year ago, just 6 weeks short of 105. Amazing, remarkable lady. Let's see if I can get her to stay here. Okay. Mom only took one medication for high blood pressure. I decided long ago that Tylenol is not a medication. When we would be home, and home for us is the South Shore of Long Island in New York, we would see Mom all the time. She only lived about 20 minutes from us in her own apartment. And when we would travel, and oh my goodness, do we travel? Just a few weeks ago, we were in Baton Rouge, and a few weeks from now, we'll be in Kansas and in Missouri, and we'll be in North Dakota and in Minnesota and Erie, Pennsylvania. North Dakota is probably warmer than it is here. Okay. And when we would travel, we would speak to my mom several times a day. And as I tell the students, they too need to check in with their moms and their dads. Always tell them where they're going, and be sure you tell them when you'll be back. You guys, even you in the universities, you owe it to them, right? Check in with Mom and Dad. My brother deals with this altogether differently than I do. He will not talk about it as freely as you heard it from me this evening. He lives in California, he's happily married, but by choice will not bring children into this world. Has a very difficult time with organized religion. All of that makes me very sad. But I do not fault Albert. We have to remember that he's 2 years older than I am. He was with my father in the men's section, and I'm convinced that he saw and experienced things that I did not. God puts us on this earth. Gives us a beautiful mind. It is this mind that allows us to choose right from wrong, good from evil. We are capable of making choices. Therefore, men did this to one another. But did he have to make it so bitterly cold when we were standing out there on the Pell all day? Have a direct line. I ask loads of questions. Don't get too many answers, but that's okay. Faith I will always have. After all, here I am, 3 children, 9 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren from whom generations will be forthcoming. He made sure that enough of us survive so that we will always be here. I am proud of my faith, as I'm certain you are all proud of your faith and of your heritage. But please, please, let us all remember to respect the right of others to their belief. Be kind and good and respectful and tolerant towards one another. That is the basis for peace. Had there been respect and tolerance towards one another some 60, 70 years ago, I would not be here this evening to share that dark period of our history with you. 9/11 would not have occurred. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, North Korea, all these countries that are in such turmoil would be peaceful countries for its people. Be kind and good and respectful towards one another. Please. It is such a simple message and yet so difficult to achieve. There's very little that we can do against the negativity in our world. But how we treat, behave, and reach out towards one another, that is entirely up to us. Did I ever find my 4 pebbles? Frequently asked question. I always found my 4 pebbles. I made it my business to find them. I cheated all the time. When I found them, I put them in a safe place. Next time I would search for them, and I couldn't find that 3rd one or that 4th one, well, I knew exactly where to go and pick them up. Maybe that was cheating, but it was my game, and I made the rules. You need to know that I was only about 9 or 10 years old when things were at its absolute worst. We had nothing to occupy our time with constructively. No paper, no pencils, no books, no games. So I was lucky at such an imaginative mind. And my imaginative games, they were always based on a positive attitude. I would search for a piece of glass or a piece of a mirror, whatever I could find on the dirt ground in Bergen-Belsen. And when the sun would shine, and that didn't happen nearly often enough in that part of Germany, known for bad weather and cloudy skies, when I married, knew that that sun would always come out. And when it did, that little piece of glass would cast a reflection onto the ground. And that little wiggly reflection, it became my pet. As long as the sun would shine, I would have my pet, and my pet would never ever die. I would also imagine that someday I once again would have my 3 Bs. And these 3 Bs represent our everyday comforts and necessities that we all take so much for granted. First, we represented a bed. I knew that someday I once again would have my very own bed with a real mattress, clean sheets, and enough blankets to keep me warm. Second B represented a bath. Warm water, soap, clean towel, and with that would come toothpaste and a toothbrush, of course. And the third B was bread. I knew that someday I once again would have enough bread so that I would never again go hungry. These imaginative games, if you will, they were my survival techniques. They were my survival skills. Do you know that we all have survival techniques and skills within us? When the need arises, we just have to search for them, find them, and be sure that we put them to work. No one is spared adversity. No one is spared hardship. We all have to overcome obstacles at one time or another. But with perseverance, with determination, with faith, and above all hope, one can overcome just about anything and everything. Above all, don't ever give up hope. It is not so much what happens to a person, it's how we deal with the situation that makes the difference. Nathaniel is from New York. He went to Bradley University in Peoria, lucky me. He went home on vacations, and way back then in the 1950s, it's a long time ago, long-distance phone calls were very expensive. But for a 3-cent stamp, and there really truly was a 3-cent stamp, we would write to one another every single day. Major problem. In his letters to me, he would add 5 words that he asked me to define and put into a sentence. That's a lot of nerve with all I had to do, but I knew he meant to help me with my English, and I guess it did work. So Nathaniel, wherever you are, thank you very much. I, on the other hand, would write my letters in rough draft with a dictionary by my side, and only when I was satisfied with the way the letter was written would I dare mail it to him. Talking about a dictionary. My father always carried a little chunky German-English dictionary with him, and he would study the vocabulary in secret whenever possible, always with the hope that someday he would reach America. When we came to the United States back in 1948 and approached New York Harbor, we were told the night before that if we wanted to see the Statue of Liberty, we needed to be on deck bright and early the next morning. Well, you can be sure that each and every one of us was on deck to greet and be greeted by that magnificent symbol of freedom, the freedom that had been denied us for so many years. And to this day, when we crossed the Verrazano Bridge, and maybe West Virginia needs an explanation. Okay, the Verrazano Bridge is a long bridge in New York that connects the borough of Staten Island with that of Brooklyn. And when we reach a certain point on the bridge, I will always crane my neck to see the Statue of Liberty. It is the most magnificent, beautiful, meaningful sight. And the next time when you're in the big city of New York, make it your business to visit the Statue of Liberty. Did I ever meet Anne Frank is a frequently asked question. She was in the same camps I was in, but we have to remember that her name did not become well known until after her diary was found and published. In addition to that, Anna was 6 years older than I am, and you know that a 15-year-old has very little, if anything, to do with a 9-year-old. And the story that you just heard this evening really picks up where hers left off. We only know her story while she was in hiding. She was then sent to the camps, and we know nothing. Well, we do know something about her existence in the camp, but not really that much. I read her original account and her original diary in Dutch on our way over from Holland. Do I still speak those languages? Ik spreek een klein beetje Hollands. I speak a little bit of Dutch. Anime de Berge Vriendgezat. I speak some Hebrew. Ich spreche ein sehr gutes Deutsch. I speak an excellent German. And I do speak some English. Returned to Germany on 6 separate occasions. The first time was back in 1995, the 50th anniversary of our liberation. Returned reluctantly, but needed to visit my father's grave. And the reason my father and about 60 others have a private resting place in that farm village where we were liberated was because they died after some of the chaos had subsided. Those who died early on were all buried in mass graves. We went to Bergen-Belsen, and Bergen-Belsen looks nothing the way I remembered it. Had been burned down under the direction of President Eisenhower, who was then the commander of the Allied forces, because the conditions of the camp would have created tremendous health hazards for the entire region of Germany. So today, other than the newly built documentation and exhibition centers, Bergen-Belsen looks like a park. Green grass, shrubs, trees, not bad looking at all, except for the mounds everywhere. Mounds with plaques that read, here lie 1,000, here lie 2,500, here lie 5,000. These are the mass graves of our people. We also went to my former hometown of Hoya, near Hanover, and they were greeted by public officials who apologized over and over again for what was done to our people. And then there was a non-Jewish couple born after the war, young people, Heike and Hans Huth, who took us to the Jewish cemetery, which was in terrible disarray, and had been cared for since 1938. And they took us to our family plot, and there, among the toppled over stones, was a brand new, shiny granite footstone with the inscription, zur Erinnerung an die zerstörte Grabstelle der Familie Blumenthal, Hoya 1894 bis 1938, in memory of the desecrated plot of the Blumenthal family, Hoya 1894 to 1938, placed there by this non-Jewish young couple, unbeknownst to us, a most beautiful, generous, kind gesture. And believe me, I never thought that I would refer to non-Jewish Germans in such glowing terms. It's people like these that renew one's faith in humanity, and they become wonderful, wonderful, dear, dear friends of ours. Actually traveled to New York to share in Mom's 100th birthday celebration. Now, no one in their right mind will travel from Europe to New York in February for 4 days to sightsee. I mean, remarkable, remarkable people. And each time we return 5 more times, I always speak in schools and universities and churches, and I do so in German. Tremendously well received, particularly by the young people, the younger generation, but it's also so difficult for them to hear. After all, it happened in their country, by their own people, by their grandparents and great-grandparents' generation. It's a huge, huge burden for these young people. And unfortunately, it will be their burden for generations to come. The last time we returned was just about 3.5 years ago. Why? Because a brand new public high school in my former hometown was named in my honor. So now we have the Marion Blumenthal Monumental Hauptschule in Hoya. A tremendous celebration, fine foods, clamour musicians. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. And the night before, we commemorated Kristallnacht on the site where our synagogue once stood. It was a very gratifying and meaningful few days. I have a website. Okay, I'm very bad with technology, and thanks to the computer guy, but I do know I have a website. And it's called forperfectpebbles.com, F-O-U-R spelled out. Right, okay, where are you, Nathaniel? I need your help. And then it has a front page. It's called a home page. It's a home page. And on that home page, there is a red item, and it's called an icon, right? Icon. And when you press that, you will see a video pertaining to the name of the school. It's in German, it's English subtitles. Check it out, it's quite well done. Okay. And I do have, yeah, I have a Facebook. I do have a Facebook, so whoever knows Facebook, you all know Facebook. Do with it what you need to do with it. But to be serious once again, please, please, everyone, please use this wonderful technology for good only. Do not disparage others. Do not intimidate others. Be kind and good and respectful towards one another. If you don't remember anything else from this evening's presentation but this one message, to be kind and tolerant and respectful towards one another, it'll have been worth your while to sit here for an hour. September 11th, 2001. None of us will ever be allowed to forget that date as long as we live. At that time, Nathaniel and I were in Florida visiting children and grandchildren. And because all planes were grounded, we chose to drive home. And as we approached New York and crossed that Verrazano Bridge, amidst the smoking ruins of the Twin Towers, we could see the Statue of Liberty, holding high the torch of freedom. It is that flame of freedom that the terrorists sought to destroy, but they could not, and they never will. Because we will take good care of our freedom. We will safeguard our freedom. We will not and must not take our freedom for granted. Let us all, each and every one of us, redouble our efforts to be kind and good and respectful towards one another. And with that, I wish each and every one of you, your children, your grandchildren, and all succeeding generations, a healthy, happy, productive future in a world of love and peace. Thank you. Of your time, please. I'd like to share a song with you. Not to worry, I will not sing. It's the title song of a musical, Four Perfect Pebbles. It was produced, it's not produced yet, it cost too much money. But it's in the process. And it was written by John Holt from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it's sung by then an 11-year-old girl by the name of Lyric. Listen to the lyrics. Is there someone up there who can push that button? Yes, please. Is there someone there who? Yeah. Okay. Listen to the words.
Four perfect pebbles in my hand, some made of granite, some of sand, found in this dark and desolate land. Four perfect pebbles in my hand.
Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Shanks.
Every person has a story, and every once in a while we hear a story that inspires us and gives us hope, and we've heard one tonight. We have one quick announcement, and then you'll be dismissed.
We've had more people requesting books than there are books available, and so let me explain what you can do if you're interested in receiving a book. Outside on the table are cards like this, and which say receipt for book order. So if you were to pay for your book order now, fill out the card, and then on the back of the card write what you would like to be inscribed in the book. Marion will take these with her. She will take care of getting the books to Ohio Valley University, and then you can pick your books up at Ohio Valley University after March 5th. Let me just review that real quickly. If you would like to have a book, you can pick up a paper, pay for the book, fill out the information, write on the back how you would like it to be inscribed, and then they will take that, the books will be sent to OBU, and you can pick them up from here after March 5th. Thank you all for being here.
Well, it didn't